Derrick Paul Miller, originally from New Brunswick, now resides in Toronto and is part of the Canadian Opera Company. Derrick, that voice is not normal. It's a gift. It's a gift. When did you know, hey, I can sing?
Well, like a lot of people, I started singing in church choir. That's probably my first real musical influence. But in terms of the classical thing, not really so much while I was growing up. My parents listened to, aside from gospel music, a lot of country music as well, as do a lot of people from back home in the Maritimes. It's a popular musical style. So I didn't know much about classical music at all, to be honest. And so, through choirs, and then eventually when I got to university, that's when I actually took my first voice lesson and was introduced to the whole opera and classical music world.
So not that many years ago.
Right, just a couple.
So when we talk about a gift, right, when some people who have these extraordinary singing or artists say that's a gift from God, what do you do with that gift? Do you feel a sense of heavy responsibility?
Absolutely. I think that, when you're given a gift like this, no matter what it is, whatever your gift is, it doesn't necessarily have to be what people generally call a talent, like a talent for singing or for dance, or it doesn't necessarily have to be in the arts, but any kind of gift that you're given, something that you're really good at, I think it's doing a real disservice to not try and use that gift to its fullest potential.
Now, your first CD was called Page One. Talk to us about some of the selection on that disc.
That disc, my producer Flavio Monopoli from Toronto, he and I started talking about doing this project, and I really wanted to do something that had some classical feel to it, but also kind of was a bit more poppy, because that whole style has been so popular within the past few years with artists like Josh Groban and Charlotte Church, Susan Boyle, all these people that seem to be coming out of the woodwork, and the Canadian tenors and Il Divo. So we wanted to do something similar to that, so we could kind of get people's attention who wouldn't necessarily listen to classical music, but then maybe they could hear and say, oh, well, that's an interesting sound, because he sounds kind of classical, but it's kind of pop music. What is this?
So why do you think that has become popular? You listed off all these artists, and it's true. People who you would say, I don't listen to classical music, all of a sudden it's mainstream. What happened? We've got the pop opera genre just bursting through the seams. What made it so popular?
Well, my thought is that people are getting a little bit tired of those artists who claim to be singers, but they're studio singers. So they go in and have a very studio-produced type of sound, but then when you go to hear them sing live, it's not quite the same for some reason. And I think the general public are just, they're a bit more demanding now in terms of the actual talent, the actual vocal talent, and they want to hear really strong singers and really nice music. And so now these classical singers have found a new way to kind of not just do classical music, but they're being accepted kind of more mainstream, which is great.
It's a good thing.
It's a great thing.
So your first album, Page One, more of the pop opera, shall we say, and your second CD, It Is Well, your latest release. Talk to us about that, and how did you select the songs for that project?
Well, when I would do concerts either around this area, the Toronto area, or back home in the Maritimes, I would always do a set of sacred music, and it proved to be very, very popular. And so I found that through my own beliefs, that's my connection. And so I felt like when I sang that that was my spirituality coming through. And so I really felt it very strongly, and also the people would always come up to me after I would do the concerts and say, wow, when you sing the Lord's Prayer, or when you sing Panis Angelicus, it's so powerful. What is that? And, so I really felt like I should really record these pieces, and so I have them and I'm able to share them with other people. So I also wanted to do a very wide variety of music, so I wasn't specifically targeting any certain, denomination per se, but I wanted to do a very inclusive album that had all sorts of different traditions in terms of, whether it be a Catholic tradition or an Anglican tradition or what have you, that, you can listen to this disc and there's a little bit for everybody.
Now, often we say that music is so much attached to people's spiritual journeys. Has there been a moment for you in your personal spiritual journey where music kind of made it all make sense?
I think from day one, from the moment that I was able to actually hear, go and know what music was and hear music. Like I said, when I used to go to church when I was from Yay High, there was a connection immediately. So I knew that music was going to have a really, really strong influence in my own personal spiritual journey, for sure. And it has and continues to.
What's next for Derrick Paul Miller?
Well, I'm going to just really continue to promote this CD. I put a lot of time and effort and money into it. And so it's really important that it's only been out for a few months. So I really want to give it a really, really good go. I took the year off from singing with the Canadian Opera Company Chorus to just focus on this CD and do concerts and just get out there and do as much as absolutely possible with the CD.
And what do you think is going to happen with this pop opera culture that we've created in the music industry? Is it going to keep going, or is there going to be something else?
I think so. I think there's enough younger audience that are interested that it's going to continue. It may change somewhat, I'm sure, as everything does. The entire music industry has changed so much that I'm sure that it will change. But I really do believe that people are going to still, demand these, beautiful music and want to hear beautiful music.
And the expectation is high.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Derrick Paul Miller, for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.